The second hour actually has ties to the show, just not her directly per se. We'll talk to her about that here in a second. There are some products that are legendary throughout time, and you can see a logo or a color, and you know immediately what it is. And for this product, at least for me, that's the institution green that signifies Stanley Thermos. But they have other great products as well that you might not be aware of. And here to help us out tonight is the Eastern Sales Manager for Stanley, first-timer to the show. We welcome Sara Lewis to the show. Sara, how are you?
How are you?
I am absolutely fabulous, Sara. Well, look at this. You have quite the display going on. I love it. Coolers and thermoses and growlers and all that. I mean, that is unbelievable. That's quite a cache. I mean, the perk of a job, right?
Yeah, it certainly is. Definitely. This stuff's built to last, so I think I've got quite the collection to last me the rest of my lifetime.
Yeah, no doubt about it. So now, before we get into the Stanley stuff, for those that aren't familiar, you are the daughter of my Tennessee embedded correspondent, that being Steve Ray, who is the one who actually made that initial connection for us. So since this is a barbecue and grilling show by most accounts, let's start out a little bit by learning where your interest level may or may not be in the live fire cooking industry.
Well, I'll say one thing I love about my dad's involvement in barbecue is that he camps outside now with his friends. I think that's definitely a perk to his new hobby. Me personally, though, I've always loved barbecue. However, I became a vegetarian when I was 16. So I've got a great recipe for vegetarian barbecue, and I can share that with you after this. But that's my involvement with barbecuing.
All right, so I'm interested to know, like, what steers you away from meat, just like a personal choice, or were you like on a health thing and you've just continued it? Like, why do you choose vegetarian lifestyle?
Yeah, maybe all of the above.
Mm-hmm.
Just yeah, and I don't feel any guilt about eating vegetables and fruits. So.
Well, oddly enough, and kind of the same and not the same at all, I don't feel bad at all for eating animals. They are delicious. Was Steve big into like barbecue and grilling growing up, or I mean, did you notice that this was something more that he's taken a fancy to later?
Well, I would say the barbecue side has been later, but growing up, he was always at the grill. We had burgers, I feel, at least one night a week. Every week was burger night. And I will say, I do recall back from the days of eating meat, my dad's burger is pretty delicious.
All right. So do you have any interest in those? And these have become very popular here. They've been out for, I think, a couple years at least, but over the last handful of months, they've spun up incredibly in popularity. What they're calling the plant-based alternatives, like a Beyond Burger or Impossible Burger. Are you familiar with those, and do you like them?
Yeah, they're pretty good. The first time I had one, the waiter asked how I liked my burger cooked, and I was like, no, I want the Impossible Burger, and they let me order it, rare, which I thought was pretty cool. But yeah, it was really juicy. It's been long enough that if I say something tastes like meat, I'm pretty certain I'm wrong.
Right. Good. Sara Lewis joining me here on the show. All right, so let's get a little bit of a professional background on you. Are you somebody that has always been with Stanley, or are you just generally in this kind of an industry and found your way to Stanley? How does that work?
Yeah. So I've been in the outdoor industry for, over 15 years. And I came across Stanley in January. I started with them. And I manage the territory of Eastern Canada and the Eastern United States. But it's a great company. I love working for them.
Do you have, I'm sure you could just go on and on because of the training and all that knowledge that you have there, but for the folks that maybe they know, because also I have mine right here. This is 15 years old, by the way, and it still looks like as good as it did when I bought it, but can you give us a little bit of a background on company history and like flagship products and all that stuff?
Yeah, so I mean, it's an awesome story. So William Stanley was an inventor. He's compared to the likes of Tesla, Edison, Alexander Graham Bell. But so he was an electrical engineer, and he owns or still holds a lot of patents on the modern day transformer. But he invented double walled stainless steel vacuum insulation. And he did that for his electrical engineer job. But the next thing he made was this classic bottle. So this is our extra, extra large. But, back then you needed something to keep your coffee hot all day while you're at work. And so that's where the Stanley came into play. Yeah, it's pretty cool. And then 106 years later, it's still a great product. We still have a lifetime warranty on all the goods we make. It may look similar to some of the old ones, but there's a lot of improvements, and the bottom line is they're still built to last a whole lifetime.
Vacuum insulation. So how does that compare to something else that might be on the market? I think one of the from a consumer side, and you're talking about you need something to have your coffee hot all day. Well, when I got my first over-the-road sales job, I was like, well, I don't want to be buying coffee 50 times a day. I just make a pot, get something that will keep it hot all day. So, of course, I remember my dad had a Stanley Thermos back when he was doing the same thing, so I got the one that I just showed you. And it keeps it hot all day. But the thing that I like the best is there have been some other thermoses that have made their way in and out of my house. But they kind of look like a shiny glassy mirror kind of a thing, and inevitably shit cakes onto it or almost looks like it cooks onto it, and then I throw it out. But this doesn't happen with the Stanley.
Yeah, and I think that's just because we have 106 years experience of making this product. So we have a lot of control over the manufacturing of the steel, and it's the highest quality you can get on the market, and that just comes from experience, I think.
How long? I don't know if you know or not, but like when the initial bottle is released, how long was there between that and like the next product that was offered out? Because I would imagine this was a pretty big hit.
Yeah, I'm not sure. So William Stanley invented, this item here, this bottle, and then he died 3 years later.
Oh.
But the item was such a hot item that the factory continued on, and so today it's still a company. But I would assume it's something like the food jar. So this item here, you guys have seen, this is one of our new colors, but the food jar, like a lot of folks have these in their cupboards too, just for taking chili in their lunches. But I'd say that's probably the next evolution from the bottle. But to be honest, I don't know the answer to that question.
So, I assume being the Eastern sales manager, you're on the road quite a bit. Do you have any unique food stories or like cool places that you've always heard about that, I happen to be in this town, so I'll try it, and it met expectation, or perhaps on the other side where people are like, if you're here, you got to go here, and you tried it and it didn't bring the heat?
Yeah. Well, I do like spicy things, and I'll say this isn't in any way related to barbecue, so I do apologize.
We also love food here on the show, so we're all foodies at heart.
But I eat a lot of Indian food. You had mentioned the heat, and I like to order Indian food, Indian hot. And as I travel, I make sure to hit up the local Indian restaurants.
So, are you calling from a job perspective? Are you calling on like distributors or like big stores, like a Cabela's or something like that, or how do you manage sales and stuff?
Yeah, so we sell, you can find Stanley products at Walmart. We sell the LL Bean. We sell the Dick's Sporting Goods. We're an outdoor centered company, but that's just because all of our products are meant to make some part of the outdoors simpler. But yeah, we sell all over the world. Some people are hot in France. We're really hot in South America. But that's for the tea drinking. But Stanley products, I think just because they're so functional, they're sold in 100 countries around the world.
Do you know where the original green came from?
Hammer tone green. I know it wasn't in the beginning of the line.
That wasn't the original color?
Yeah, it wasn't an original color. I want to say it was introduced sometime around World War II. Stanley Thermoses were actually in bombers then, and that, I mean, it kind of has a military nod, but yeah, you stumped me once again. I don't know the answer of when hammer tone was introduced to the product line.
Yeah, I mean, it's like it's both ugly and endearing all at the same time. When I was talking about it in the top of the show, I'm like, I don't have to show you the Stanley part. All I have to do is just hold this up, and you see that color, and you're like, oh, that's a Stanley Thermos, without a doubt, which has to be key.
No, I love the color. Yeah, I like it. It sparks like an emotional memory. I remember, my dad giving me hot chocolate at Friday night football games, or, it takes me back. But I love the color green. Looks great against these pink walls too.
Yes,
right?
I mean, it really pops, no doubt about it. So one of the things that you have, and they're probably off to your left as we're looking on the screen to the right, are the coolers. So
yeah.
As I'm sure you're probably aware, your dad is very rich, and he's always carrying these, Yeti coolers, and you see Arctic coolers and Grizzly coolers and all this other stuff. They appear to all have a few things in common. Heavily insulated, roto molded, I believe.
Yeah.
But there also seems to be a variance in price point. So probably where, aside from the bottles, which probably everybody that's a barbecue person has one of these. I don't know how familiar the barbecue world is, that you guys have the outdoor cooler section as well. So how do these compare, contrast to some of those more well-known and high-priced coolers?
Yeah, that's a great question. So, I mean, one thing about Stanley is we make products to meet the general consumer. We're not trying to be an elitist brand. For over a century, we've been making something that everyone can afford and use.
Mm-hmm.
And the same goes for our coolers. So we don't make a rotomolded cooler, but we do have a double-walled foam insulated cooler. So it keeps stuff hot or cold for days. But these are really nice. They've got a gasket liner so they won't leak. And then this one here will hold, I think, over 24 beers.
Wow.
Or 21 cans. But yeah, 36-hour cold on this guy. And then the 30-quart one that we've got in the back, it's a little bit taller shape. It's meant to be comfortable to sit on around a campfire. But it's a 4-day cold. But light enough when you've got it loaded, you can actually carry it to the campsite or to the tailgate or wherever you're using them.
Yeah, you don't need to get the accessory that has the wheels and the tractor trailer that you have to pull it because it's 700 pounds.
Yeah, and that's a good point too. We're the only cooler company that I know of or that I've ever heard of that offers 100% lifetime warranty. So
on the coolers too, huh?
Pretty sweet. Most cooler companies are about 2 to 5 years.
Yeah. Do you guys have any presence in the barbecue community that you know of at the moment?
I see us. I'll say I'm a big fan of my dad's barbecue. I have never tasted it, but I'm his number one fan. And so I attend the shows or the contests, but I see our products everywhere at the contest. So I know that we're a favorite brand among a lot of grill masters, but I don't think we're sponsored too many barbecue events. We should definitely do that though. It's built to be outside, and you can't really barbecue inside.
No doubt about it. We're talking with Sara Lewis, the Eastern Sales Manager for Stanley. And the website, by the way, Stanley-PMI, like Papa Mike India, PMI.com if you want to check it out. What are some of the, aside from the classic bottles, is it the food jars that are more, that are also very popular? And I also saw there was a growler, which looked like it was pretty cool looking too.
Growlers are great. We've got a pretty big beer market. I love this thing right here. So This is our traditional beer stein. It closes just like a Bavarian stein. But it'll keep your beer carbonated for a long time. It'll keep it cold really nicely, but it'll also keep it hot for 5 hours. So If you want to drink coffee out of a stein, that's definitely a cool pick. But in food services, we sell a lot of these just really nifty food jars. So these will keep something hot for 8 hours or cold for 8 hours. But at a barbecue competition, I could see this being great for having condiments out on the front counter. Because given that it's going to be cold for 8 hours, you could easily have mayonnaise or, something that might need refrigeration. But these are just an easy solution. I use these a lot in my lunch. You can actually pack ice cream in that if you need something.
Oh, really? All right. Well, good to know in case you need that midday ice cream fix. It's not going to melt. What about new products? Is there anything that you guys are currently working on or getting ready to release that would be okay for the public to know about?
Yeah. So this item here, this is my personal drink cup, so I won't tilt it too much, but it's full of iced tea right now. But it looks like this is just a color treatment up here, but kind of the holy grail to drinkware is to have a glass container taste. But the problem with glass is that it's breakable.
Yeah.
And so this is actually a fired ceramic bonded to stainless steel. So it's kind of like, ceramic, like your coffee mug in the morning. But this won't taste like steel if you've ever, kind of tasted stainless steel in your tumblers at home. It has the cleanest taste of any drinkware I've ever used, but it's completely unbreakable. It won't chip, it won't stain, and it's tasteless. It's perfect. But yeah, we're the only folks that are doing this, and it's 100% dishwasher safe. All of the products we make can be run through the dishwasher, and that's something not many of our competitors can say. But we build that into our warranty as well.
Nice. So if you are into coolers and thermoses, or you're looking to upgrade the line that you might have, because you might have some pieces of crap like I used to have before I stepped it up to the Stanley line, then first check out the website, stanley-pmi.com. Then, of course, any outside place is going to carry a lot of these products as well. And we're talking with Sara Lewis, who is the Eastern Sales Manager. Sarah, really appreciate the time tonight. Thanks so much.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
You got it. There she is. That is Sara Lewis on the Fogo Charcoal Hotline talking about Stanley products.